Let me just take you briefly, if I might, to demonstrate to you the extent to which local authorities are up to their necks in all of this. The business at Acland began when the Rosalie Shire Council was in charge of that particular part of this region, led by Mayor Noel Strofeld, who's not here tonight. We talk about...
Yes, I am.
You are here. Good. Well done. Well, now I'm going to tell a lovely story about you. You mightn't like it. I'll tell a story about the Mayor and you mightn't like it. I hope some of your cronies are here as well, because you're the people who started this total desecration of an important and historic part of this state. At a meeting on the 23rd of January 2007, Motion 7.5 involved the relocation of the War Memorial at Acland. And they investigated, the discussion was about the removal of the War Memorial. Can you believe it? Mr. Strofeld, well done. The removal of the War Memorial and the playground equipment and the equipment from the Acland school. Get rid of it. That's what the motion was about. On the 13th of February, Mr. Strofeld, 2007, a meeting was held whereby council, your council, was objecting to the Acland Coal Mine Museum being listed on the Queensland Heritage Register. And the Queensland Heritage Council was being lobbied, Mr. Strofeld, by your council and by your CEO, and you had New Hope Coal in league with you, and their CEO, Mr. Dennis Brown Kenyon, and two legal representatives in attendance. Get the picture? How do we stop this outfit, this museum, Acland Coal Mining Museum, being listed on the Heritage Council? Why? Because it would stand in the way of the New Hope Coal Mining licence. The CEO proudly announced that he, that's the CEO of the Rosalie Shire, a Mr. Clinton Webber, you here, sir? Mr. Strofeld has been sent as your proxy, has he? Well, the CEO proudly announced that he and Mr. Brown Kenyon had made representations to the Heritage Council and that the Heritage Council had decided to provisionally list the site. Quote, it's not a full listing and Council will have the opportunity to object in due course. Council was unaware of the time frame involved, according to the minutes that I have read, but, quote, it's suggested that authority should be delegated from Council to allow an objection to be lodged when the formal notification is received. Well, indeed, it was moved by Councillor Half. Is he here? Seconded by Councillor Ambrose. Is he here? The Council's, well done. The Council's, quote, lodge an objection to the provisional listing by the Queensland Heritage Council of the Acland Coal Mine Museum site. Then in 2008 there was a meeting of the Rosalie Shire tabling a letter to the CEO of New Acland Coal, and they had applied, New Acland Coal, for a mining lease over an area of 5,069 hectares. And included in the lease, in the surface area of the 5,069, were properties registered in the name of Rosalie Shire Council as either the owner or the trustee of certain land and numerous road reserves. Under the Mineral Resources Act of 1989, the local authority is the owner, Rosalie Shire, and the consent of the owner, Rosalie Shire, would be required to allow the grant of the mining lease to include the lands and the roads within the surface area of the lease. So the council minutes record that New Acland Coal requested the letter of consent from Rosalie Shire Council to go to the Department of Mines and Energy to allow those lands registered in Council's name to be part of the surface area of the lease application. Council have approved of that. That included every street and road in Acland. We're telling the Mining Minerals Department of Use Queensland, every street and road we're going to hand over to New Hope Coal in Acland, in Brimaroo, in Muldoon, in Sabine Road, in Silverley Road. I know these areas backwards. Conroy's Road, Greenwood School Road, Huey's Road, Hoysler's Road, the John Darien Muldoon Road, the Willaroo Mine Road. This was carried. Give them to the mining company. In other words, it was moved by Councillor Dean, seconded by Councillor Hartley, that the Department of Mines and Energy should be advised that Rosalie Shire Council is the registered owner and trustee of this land, of the reserves, of the road reserves, and that Council consents to the mining lease application being made to include all of these roads. And this is irreversible. Then we get a story in the Toowoomba Chronicle on the 13th of March where this Dennis Brown Kenyon, who's the General Manager in Corporate and Government Relations of New Hope Coal, the corporation presents the Rosalie Shire Council Mayor, Councillor Noel Strofeld, with a cheque for $10,000. For $10,000 for services rendered, I suppose. Wasn't it? In other words, for all the roads and everything you've done for us, for everything that you've done for us, you've just handed it over, you've moved out of the way, you've shifted the stone, here, take the cheque for $10,000. And it was all, we were told, at a special dinner to say thank you to the councillors who have worked so hard with the corporation, New Hope Coal, since the year 2000. They've been at it for 8 years, hand in glove, smoothing the passage. Beg your pardon? Unbelievable. Then of course, my attention was drawn to a Fin Review article in September of 2008, where the coal miner, New Hope Corporation, we were told, would return $600 million to shareholders. Think what they paid all of these people for the roads and God knows what. $600 million to shareholders next year, and allocate some of its, quote, plentiful cash reserves to expanding the mine and port operations in Queensland while keeping an eye on acquisition opportunities. The article said New Hope has $2.7 billion sitting in Australian banks, where according to the company it's earning $500,000 a day in interest. That's the article where it told us that New Hope has begun planning the expansion of its New Acland coal mine because the council has said, given them the green light, the expansion of the New Acland coal mine west of Toowoomba, said, and that New Acland produced 4.2 million tonnes of coal in the 2008 financial year, and the company has applied for permission to lift its output to at least 7.5 million tonnes a year. Now, I raise the next point because of the two speakers at the end, the two politicians who spoke, because another Financial Review article indicated that the same bloke who's chairman of New Hope Coal was apparently the chairman of Soul's Private Equity, who wrote off their entire $18.8 million investment in Krispy Kreme, and that his pharmacy business had, quote, done it tough and done its dough on the Keith Harris baking business. You see, plenty of money to lose because they've got New Acland in their sights. My attention has also been drawn to an article by Lawrence Springborn, the Deputy Leader of the Liberal National Party in Queensland, reminding us in relation to Gordon Nuttall, the Cabinet Minister who was found, and I make this point to demonstrate the kind of environment we are dealing with. Gordon Nuttall was found at the outset, not the subsequent stuff you know about, to have deliberately lied to a parliamentary committee. And at the time, according to Springborn, the Crime and Misconduct Commission had recommended Nuttall be referred to the DPP for possible trial and conviction under the Criminal Code. But Parliament was immediately recalled, writes Springborn, quote, for a special one-day sitting where the then Premier Peter Beattie and his Deputy Bligh moved a special motion to exonerate Nuttall of criminality, clear him of the allegations and prevent referral to the DPP and the Parliamentary Privileges and Ethics Committee. And as Lawrence Springborn said, imagine if all those years ago Bjelke Petersen had called a special sitting of Parliament where government MPs could use their majority to clear their mates of corruption charges. I'm simply saying this is the government we're trying to deal with. Noel Strofeld, of course, is now councillor of the Toowoomba Regional Council, following amalgamation. And of course, approval of stage 3 could make the Acland asset more valuable and attractive to sell, possibly to an overseas company, but more worrying to an overseas government. If the coal rights and royalties were attached to the land title, the Queensland government would get nothing. Indeed, does a foreign government get royalties for coal mined on its Australian land? And then you've got the sale of the school site and the potential sale of the park. The destruction and desecration of a wonderful community.